The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 891. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. You can now purchase The Tao of Self-Confidence, a guide to moving beyond trauma and awakening the leader within on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Walmart, Indigo, and other major book retailers. Get your copy today. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to The Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She is the CEO of DLZP Group, and I'm super excited to have her on to share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Lisa Brunet. Lisa, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me to be on this. I look forward to it. A little bit about myself. I'm the president and CEO of DLZP Group. We're an IT consulting firm that specializes in solving customers' problems utilizing new technology. So what that means is we more or less listen to our customers and figure out what their pain points are in order to make a difference. My background was not in IT. My background was always in business administration of getting companies to the next level. So my husband asked me back in like 2010, he goes, I think you're ready. I think you're ready to go start your own company. I'm going to work for you and we're going to make it a success. So that's how DLZP got started. I had no clue what I was doing in technology because I've never done technology, but we are where we are today.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I think that's amazing that, your husband just said, I think you're ready. Let's do this. I'm going to support you 110%, along the way. And, it's not always easy to have, and not everyone gets to have, a supportive spouse sometimes, right? So it's really great to hear stories like this that, your husband encouraged you, you went for it, he works with you, and you're still here today, especially in IT, where it's still very male dominated. I'm glad that you're here today paving the way. And I'm also glad that we got to connect from the US PacWise program cohort, which has been such an amazing experience to be able to connect with other amazing women like yourself and go to the in-person events. So yeah. And Lisa, what's your cultural background?
So I'm Korean, 100% Korean, but I was adopted. So I was brought up by Italian mother and a Norwegian father. So my background's a little bit different than everybody else's.
Thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
So my favorite quote is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment.
I love that quote because sometimes it's not always easy to show up as your authentic self, especially in the world of social media and filters and culturally, we've always been told to show up as a perfect person, which is very unattainable. Being able to just show up as your raw, authentic self, which means the good, bad, and ugly, that shows people that we're all relatable, we're not alone in this journey, and that we're human in the end, right? So I love that quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
To me, self confidence means having the belief in yourself to be able to stand up for what you believe in and being able to make those tough choices. It's not about looking glamorous, having a certain body type, or looking a certain way. It's more your inner confidence and believing in yourself for what you can do.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. I love that you mentioned about making the tough decisions because it's not definitely not always, it's not even easy to make a decision on our own, just how we're brought up, but to make those tough decisions, it does take a lot of confidence. So I love that you mentioned that. And Lisa, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I always guess myself, and for me, I was always one of those people where I didn't think I would ever be running my own company. I had no problem talking to other people on behalf of other companies and making changes for them, but to have my own company where I have to make the decision for everything, and that includes hiring and firing, deciding who gets bonuses, deciding how to negotiate a contract, and deciding how tough that was. very hard. And I think I realized the big difference between what my confidence level was before I started my own business and even maybe the first couple years versus what it is now.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's not always easy to start your own business, right? Especially if you don't know the field that you're in, right? Most people, they just jump into it, figure things out as they go. But I was also curious. I know you mentioned your husband pushed you, but what gave you that aha moment to make you realize, like, yeah, I can do this. I can figure this out. What was that aha moment in your life?
Probably the biggest confidence was my biggest hurdle was that my son was young and he had a lot of health issues. He had a rare autoimmune disorder. So there he had a lot of doctor's appointments. And to find an employer that would work with me to have the flex hours, be able to work from home, be there when my son needed me to was becoming a challenge. So that's why when we started DLCP, we took a different approach, totally different than any IT, they were doing back then, where we were 100% remote and we were looking for the stay at home moms that only wanted to have a flex schedule, wanted to work from home. There would be no travel required. We'd offer our customers a subscription plan. So they would save money and our employees would be happy because they had the flexibility now.
I love that. So you started remote work before it was even a thing, right? Before the pandemic. And yes, especially as women, it's not easy when you have kids, other family members, errands, chores to do. I mean, you're like a one woman show trying to do everything, and it's exhausting, right? Like trying to pick up your kids at school and then dropping them off to soccer practice or karate practice and doing their homework, then feeding them, putting them to bed, trying to figure out what their meal is for the rest of the week. And then you have other family members you have to check up on. I mean, it's a lot of work, right? And of course, we know most of the time it's women who do this. And so I love that you mentioned, you as a woman, as a mother, you wanted to also provide the same environment for other mothers who are going through the same thing, especially when back then in the workplace, it's like if you were pregnant, like most women had to hide that because they were afraid they would lose their job, right? It was actually considered something bad instead of something good. And so I love that you were able to provide that and you're still here today. And because of that, what's your life been like? What's your life been like now?
I mean, it's made a huge difference, and we make sure that like our team is diverse. So it's always 50% women at a minimum. And we purposely did that because I want to still give those opportunities to the stay-at-home parents, make sure that they have those opportunities that I had. And I mean, I even share that like I've been part of roundtables where there's men who want to be part of their kids' lives, but they're out there, they're doing what I'm doing, and then they're like, I want to be at home more. And I'm like, do it because they're only young once. You have to take that chance and do it. And I mean, our customers value that. They value that we take care of our employees and we're looking out for the best quality. So they get it, they get the quality, or our employees get the work-life balance.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that's great what you've done and what you've started. And it's so important, right? How you treat employees, how you treat customers, how you treat every single person in your business, whether it's from the customer to the employee, it makes a huge difference because that's how a company will grow and, have better profit margins and have better work culture because it starts with the person who started it, right? Knowing what the customer wants, knowing what employees need to have that great work environment. So I love that you've been able to set that example and, trailblaze that way for other people to realize like if we do things together, that's how we make things happen. And there's been studies about that too, right? So I love that you're able to do this. So I just want to say thanks for starting that, for paving the way, especially in an industry like tech, because tech is still very male dominated, right? So I love that. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you'd give to her?
You just have to believe in your gut instinct. Your gut is telling you what you really need to know. If you have doubts, listen to it. Don't second guess yourself. Don't let someone else talk you into another decision because you understand what you are capable of and you have that capability to do great things.
That's a great tip. I know there's many times where I should have listened to my gut and I always like turned it away because of course, back then when you didn't have any resources to learn about confidence and learn about your intuition, we tend to do the opposite. So our intuition is our greatest power as women. And even when we use it, it may not look like how we picture it in our head. It may look like the total opposite at times, but it does get us to that destination. And when you look back, you're like, oh, everything makes so much sense. So I love that tip that you mentioned. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do and check out some of your services, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Sure. So the best one would be our website, which is just dlzpgroup.com. I am on LinkedIn. It's just Lisa Brunet. And if you do a search, Lisa Brunet with DLZP Group, you'll be able to find me very easily. I'd love to connect with as many women as possible.
Thanks so much, Lisa. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Lisa, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Lisa's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Lisa today for taking the time to share her story and journey with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you. I enjoyed being on the podcast. Good luck with everything.
Not a problem. It was such an honor having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. You can order your copy of Asian Women Who Boss Up book by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.